All right, we have another new chapter of One Piece. This one is called Partner. And we have a very, very cute picture of Hancock blushing after putting a straw hat on a young monkey wearing a Luffy t-shirt. It's maybe a little on the nose. I'm not sure if people are actually selling Luffy t-shirts in the world of One Piece, if he's achieved that level of stardom where he's getting put on merchandise, which feels very unpiratey, but whatever. It's a very cute idea that Hancock saw this little monkey, she thought he looked just like her crush, and is now trying to bribe him with a big thing of meat. I don't think monkey can eat that. I don't think that's inside the diet. All right. Excuse me. Zoro and Sanji have arrived just in the nick of time to save Otoko from getting executed right along her father. She's laughing and laughing and laughing and has the whole shogunate mad at her for laughing once and laugh crying now. She's really made quite an entrance. Hawkins and ex-Drake both present. I feel like we're going to see a classic 2-on-2 fight from two of the members of our monster trio versus some of the strongest other pirates in Wano right now. Bratty little daughter of Yasui's is a dirty criminal. More and more of the rats fellows keep showing their snouts. I have my permission to slay anyone who interferes. Okay, so a bunch of samurai guardians of the shogunate are approaching as well. The other Straw Hats and Shinobi trying to figure out what to do. Shinobi trying to rescue the body of Lord Yasui. That seems good. But with all this commotion right in the execution square, will they have a good shot? If we get sucked into this, we're not going to be able to stay in the capital anymore. We should decide on a place to meet in case we have to split up and run away. Smart, smart. Zoro's still only had 2 swords, wasn't able to get across the bridge back then and recover the sword that seemed to have been recovered from him. So he has to give his life for this. Zoro is just so distraught about this idea of the people who are unable to mourn. Thinking back to when he first learned about Ebisu from Tonoyasu, when he thought so innocently of it, when he thought perhaps just like I did, that it was just proof of their spirit. But instead it's just this sick perversion of their own emotional agency. You know, there's a good quote about kind of the freedoms you have, and I'm going to butcher it if I try to speak on it directly or cite it or anything like that. I know it was presented by some of the first psychoanalysts that proposed the idea of logotherapy. So if you look up logotherapy, you'll find this quote I'm talking about. But basically, the thrust of it is like the final ultimate form of human agency is that we can still choose our attitude towards the things that we have no control over. That in the end, we can still kind of choose how we conceptualize, how we think of things that are happening. So to rob people of that, to force them to laugh and smile, to force them to not have any control over how they mourn and make meaning of the things happening around them, it really is horrific. Like, I really don't want to understate how abhorrent that is. So the flying slashes circling around towards the shogun, but stopped by Kyoshiro, who of course was the man that killed Komurasaki. Robin recognizes him as well. Too careless, my lord. After with such little protection, Ronin tried to kill me. Zoro doesn't care. Zoro doesn't care in 2 drastically different, cool ways in both panels. First, a look of angry, vengeful dispassionateness, and then a look of, I'm tired of Sanji yelling at me, dispassionateness. Meanwhile, ex-Drake, fully transformed, closing in on Sanji. Drake is rampaging. Cover my back. Whoa! He says this to Frankie with total assurance that he'll be there to cover his back. Amazing, amazing. Guns work. Is that Carpenter? So yeah, he's still in his carpenter's uniform. But yeah, he's a carpenter, I guess. He makes some things you may not have heard of, like gigantic chain-linked robot punches. That's what's happening with them. They stole Lord Yasui. So the prisoners are at first upset, but Frankie reassures them. Won't let them disgrace you. Usopp providing covering fire. Robin and Nami doing something. Just doing their thing. The Shogun to the palace. Alright, so the palanquin runs off again. Back to the Shogunate, which I hope will blow up 2 or 3 times more this arc. Kyoshiro is actually huge. I didn't realize before. He's another tall samurai man squaring off against Zoro. And doing pretty well. I mean, Zoro only has 2 swords. He certainly has bigger fish to fry, in his estimation. But Kyoshiro being able to hold back even that is quite impressive. I am the Shogun's dog. He just embraces it for himself. His personality is quite interesting, Kyoshiro. It feels like he's got schemes beyond everything that's happening. I feel like he's a character that is going to have surprising relevance when it comes to the actual endgame of Wano, which I still can't even begin to imagine. A rebel uprising in Raisetsu Town. Shogun commands the rebels be captured dead or alive. Meanwhile, watching from the prison, Luffy cheering for the other Straw Hats, just hanging out, watching with Queen. Queen also very amused to see Luffy's crew going straight at the Shogun. Got more criminals from the Flower Capital. Dokiri Kamazo failed in his duty to the Shogun. Do what do we want with him? So this was the guy that was chasing down Otoko and the other woman from the harem when they ran into Zoro, fighting that guy on the bridge. Blah, 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 blah. He had the big scythe. And meanwhile, Captain Kidd, who I guess had escaped. He hadn't done a whole lot since then, I don't think. But he's back now. The punishment for escaping is death. Can't believe this kid. How dumb can he get? Interesting, interesting. So the prison, just when it kind of seemed like things had stabilized, it seemed like they had just kind of given up on the sumo thing. Queen is just there for the duration now because he's all caught up in the news on TV, hanging out with Luffy, just watching TV. And then these guys show up. They're like, don't interrupt. Come on, this is exciting. Zoro's gonna go cut some guy. Shouting and rushing right at us. We shot him a few times, but he didn't try to run at all, and here we are. What if he forgot that he had Sea Prism stone cuffs on? After you split from me, what did Kaido do to you? Oh, man. Okay, so a lot of storytelling happening in this page right now. All very implicit, but I think the plot, as far as I can tell, is quite interesting here. That Kid is distraught because this guy, Hitokiri Kamazo, who I thought would be a Wano native with that name and the fact that, you know, he's on Wano. But it seems like at one point he was allied up with Kid. Now, I don't know if that was, you know, from far in the past or if that was like an alliance that was made around Kid's decision to come to Wano or something like that. But then he deflected onto Kaido's side. And Kid and Kaido, you know, they share a crew aesthetic, to put it any other way. It makes sense, I guess, that this guy was in both of those crews. So Kid in here in like 3 panels describes, you know, the bond that he has with this guy, explains the backstory of his mask, how he was ashamed of his laugh, And Kid also, I think, let himself be recaught because his main objective after escaping from prison was to go find this guy and see what the heck had happened with him. But now has allowed himself to be recaptured, knowing that this guy had already gone to prison so that he can reconnect with him in prison, I guess. Plus, the final twist, what happened to you after you split off from me? What did Kaido do to you, or was it Orochi? Where did everyone go? We know what happened. He was given one of the smiles. He was given one of the leftovers, or whatever they're called. That still provides all the negative effects of being unable to express anything besides laughter and happiness. But of course, does not give you any actual devil fruit powers. So Kid is pretty distraught by this. This is kind of cool. It's like, well, cool. You know, that sounds heartless. This is well done, I guess I'll say. This is heavy. Because we already have seen kind of the Straw Hats' reactions to this undignified curse. And Zoro especially, that kind of stoicism. That the fact that their stoicism was robbed from them really bothers him. But for Kid, it's much more of like a hot anger. Like, it's much more of like he just cannot comprehend what's happening. And he's being worked up into a rage by the fact that this unresponsive person just keeps laughing. This person whom he knows from a long time probably has always been ashamed of his laughter. Interesting, interesting. Talked. Oh my god! Oh god. Oh, of course. Well, that's why he's so important to him. Oh, man. That's why you ended up covering your face with that face mask. Not just the bandages and stuff that we saw him in before. Oh, man. That's the mask guy. Tried to save his companion who's a victim of the smile fruit. Pitiful souls. Oh, that's so good. And the parallel here between Luffy and Zoro and Kid and Killer. It's heartbreaking for Luffy to comprehend just the fact that the smile fruit could create that rift. Like, imagine Zoro eating it. Oh god. They'd have to cancel the series. It would just be so bizarre. It would be so disturbing. Oh, Luffy. The empathy that comes through Luffy in moments like this. It reminds me of when he was so upset that Yasui was being laughed at after he died. That Luffy can only comprehend just the fact that, like, this was Killer. This man used to be Killer. And that's enough. That's enough for the whole core to be shook. More folks on death row. Torturing them. Dunking them into the water. Killer still laughing. Caught in the end too. This is ghastly. Queen overseeing the torture. The sadism really coming through. Thought of a fun game to play. Oh, Sumo Inferno continues. When you leave this arena, the spikes in your collars will kill you. That part will remain the same. They stay in the water as long as you're alive. Only pull them out once you guys are dead. She just looked a bit panicked. Rivals battling it in the same generation. Help your pals and die for them. Queen dancing again. He's got like two little swords. Swords so small compared to his body, but you know. That's just his style, I guess. My two infamous deeds earned bounties of billions, but every human can drown in just 2 inches of water. He's brutal! I don't know what to think of this character. Earlier I was like, I love it, you know, the villain and the hero kind of acting casual together, like watching TV together. It's very amusing to me. But he's so cruel. And the Kaido pirates are just unbelievably horrific in so many ways. Yeah, it's gonna feel good when Luffy punches this guy out. And I feel like in these sorts of situations, this almost like Fukumoto-esque situation, where it seems like they've been left with an impossible choice. The Luffy has been sealed off in all directions. Fight and live and force Kid and his comrade to die, or die yourself for their sake. Luffy's just gonna do something crazy, and it's gonna just be like one panel. I can't wait. And you get on the stage, I'll whoop you and put an end to all of this. So Luffy throws a punch. He still has the spiked collar on, so he can't do too much. You're so full of yourself. Who said you could feel hope? So you think you're getting out of here alive? You can beat us? All of you are going to die, one by one. Only one who decides where I'll die is me. Ooh. Interesting. So this is the moment where an unbelievably strong force appears. A force of pure chaos, too. Of only hunger. She's on no one side. She knows even less about the situation than Luffy, being totally amnesiac. But Big Mom is here regardless. And, yeah, I don't think anyone in this prison can possibly hold a candle to her for an instant. You would need Kaido himself, the biggest of the big boys, to step in if they want any hope of calming down the hungry Big Mom. Alright, this is going to be pretty interesting. Let's look forward to the next chapter. Are they going to be in time to save King and Killer? I would think almost certainly. There's no way they're going to let such major characters die. But man, the fact that that's Killer, that's so sad. Jeez. Alright, good chapter. Good chapter. Let's look forward to more.